Hey, I'm Hushot Scott, and I'm here chatting with Milky. I've always loved music. My mom, she used to play classical music and Arabic music and the Beatles and Bee Gees when I was growing up a lot. Around when I was 8 years old, I found my own love for music, which started off with rap and hip hop, namely 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. And ever since that moment, I was fascinated by the world of audio and sound and art, and I did everything I could to create my own take on the things that I was listening to and loving at the time, and it was really terrible. And then we got better and better and better and better, and we're always getting better. But it's just that's how I started. Yeah, super grateful to have found it at such an early age. Over the trilogy, I've found ways to cultivate more of an inward expression each time, a little bit more and a little bit more. Not that the first one wasn't super expressive, it's just I feel like as an artist, my goal is to continuously just delve inwards into these things that are really almost scary, vulnerable places that I would never talk to my friends or maybe even a therapist about. But in the music, it's a safe space to vent and talk about. So yeah, over the course of the trilogy of EPs that I've done, I feel that I've just been painting more and more of an accurate picture of my soul, what I truly feel, without too much of a compromise within the expression itself. And I hope that, moving forward, I will continue to just go inside and find more ways to accurately express this deep thing inside of me. With Mercy 3, it was very much I always knew that was going to be the last chapter of the EP trilogy, at least before I move on to other stuff. But with it being the final chapter of that sort of start of me as a solo artist, I wanted to reflect on the themes that I had sort of touched on in the past, which were themes of, again, vulnerability, self-doubt, trauma, a lot to do with like relationships I had with people and the way I identified with the world. A lot of those moments that sort of like broke that identification and had to cause me to be born again, so to speak, as corny as that sounds. In the first two, it felt like I was very angry and there was a lot of angst and not really knowing how to deal with the feelings that I was going through. And this final EP, I really wanted it to be the most reflective out of the bunch, just looking back on the past sort of few years of my, me being in my 20s, going through all the ridiculous stuff that 20-year-olds go through, and just reflecting on where that's taken me, how I've sort of had to like deal with things like ego, deal with things like self-doubt, anxiety, social anxiety, which is a big one for me, and just coming to terms with accepting myself, I suppose. I feel like I've just made so much music in the past 5 years, and I just created so many, because I produce all my stuff, so I've just failed at a lot of things that I felt just weren't the right feel for me, just didn't feel like they were an accurate representation of the soul. And I finally sort of found the sound that I'm now pushing for myself. I was so liberated because this is where I feel just the most comfortable. Like, I was trying for a long time to create stuff that I felt would fit into boxes, and then I found at the end of it actually just doing this thing that I'm like, just know in my soul, again, so corny, but know in my soul of souls is like the kind of music that I personally feel and that I gravitate towards sonically. I've just found the most liberation in that. So to answer the question in a very broad sense, I've just sort of like been myself as much as possible, and that's what's led to the sonic soundscapes that are created. The advantage with producing all of your own stuff is that you get to express not only through vocals, not only through songwriting, but through production. And that's in itself a huge part of it. It's 50% of a song, maybe even more. So yeah, as much expression as one can put into an artwork, the more that one can put in, the better, I feel. Again, you're just expressing something that is very specific to you. And, with this day and age, I feel that with music, there's a lot of people, like in rap at least, like a lot of people sort of getting beats from other producers or buying them online and stuff, which is fine too. That's great. But there's a level of expression missing that it's like, yeah, you can write those lyrics, you can scream your heart out, and you can say all this stuff, and that's powerful. But imagine producing your own stuff. It automatically makes it twice as powerful. And so that's the way I've always viewed it. And it's just a great way to add a unique element to that's only true to you, to your songs. So I can't see it any other way. Visuals are like everything. After the music, of course, but like it's like the second most important thing for me, at least. I'm a very visual person. A lot of the times when I'm writing the music, I'm thinking about visually how it's going to look. I work very closely with Connor Pritchard, who's my creative collaborator, everything visual. So that's like photos, videos, and just sort of everything. We've been working together exclusively on all of my solo music for the past 3 years. It's just been amazing to just work with somebody who, each time we work together, we're learning each other more. We're getting, I hope at least that he feels a sense of ownership, like how I feel a sense of ownership over this thing. We just like, the only goal is every time we work together just to like level it up and just do more and just accurately express these songs and give them a visual base that matches the colors and the feel of the sonic base. So yeah. Shout out to Connor, man. Oh, that is so hard. I suppose it's like very dependent on the person themselves and what they're into. The song that was the biggest off of the project is Loner's Anthem, which is the one that most people would potentially recognize. It's really fast and frantic and distorted and punky. I love that song. So probably that one. There's also another song called Kids Wanna Be Famous, which also has a real screamy, punky hook, which I remember when I made it, I was like, oh my God, I made this, holy moly. I couldn't believe it. Like I was like actually just going crazy over that hook. It just depends on the person. If somebody is a bit more like not keen on glitchy experimentally things, maybe Loner's Anthem. But if I feel like they have a bit more of that like avant-garde sense of taste, then potentially Kids Wanna Be Famous. But I don't know, man. People like what they like. I can't, I can just make music and hopefully they find it and whichever song appeals to them, that's cool with me. That's a good question. Not that this is my favorite line by any means, but a line that always just comes to mind for a reason is in my song Kids Wanna Be Famous. I think the third line of it is, they love me but they told me lies. And it's just a line, like it doesn't, to someone that doesn't know what the song is about, it may mean nothing, but to me it's like a very specifically personal feeling of like, because the song is about finding, because I've been sober now for 3 years, and that song is about going sober, and a night that I had that was like really the catalyst to my sobriety. And it was like I was around a lot of these people who just loved me and they're my friends and I love them, but I feel like they weren't being very truthful with me when it came to certain things, which I won't get into. And so it's just like, I don't know, that line always just, I don't know, just spoke to me, because I remember thinking that thought, like, man, how are these guys my friends, but also at the same time they're like doing things that aren't really in my best interest. And so I've kind of kept them at a arm's length as well because of that. But yeah, I don't know, that line just, the question being, does any line always come back to your mind? It's that one. They love me but they told me lies. A boogie, a fun time, a lot of energy, a sense of shared energy, I hope. I try to make people feel like, even though I'm up on the stage and they are in the crowd, I don't want it to feel like a separation. I want us to feel like we're in this thing together. It's like a beast. It's this energy. I want to cultivate that as much as possible, because my songs are so vulnerable and so like they come from here. And so I want the live show to feel very intimate, regardless of how many people are there. So yeah, to answer it simply, energy and a fun time, I suppose. The in-person connection of performing live is the ultimate thing. I think that we live in a time where it's so easy to release music and put it out online, and people, everyone is just sort of like a comment in the comment section, like on an Instagram or YouTube and stuff. And it's always great. And I always show love to I like reply to every comment and everything. I always try to reciprocate the love, because I think that's super important. We are humans, we are social creatures, and that connection cannot be beat. Coming out to Australia, for instance, and playing shows and seeing these people who sometimes I'll talk to them and then I'll remember like a DM exchange that we've had or something, and I'm like, oh man, you're that, oh wow, you're like, thank you so much for supporting my music. And it's amazing. It's just like at the end of the day, music is a connecting outlet. It allows people to share emotions based on happiness, based on trauma, based on whatever it may be. So this is just another element of that, just seeing people, seeing their eyes, seeing like, getting the vibe, like it's everything. Yeah. Rick Rubin. Tame Impala. 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. Pulp Fiction. Don't Have a Panic Attack. Miley Cyrus. Freestyler by the Bumfunk MCs. A$AP Rocky. A$AP Ferg. Backstreet Boy, obviously. I hate to sound corny, but Madison Square Garden. Tragedy by the Bee Gees. Yeah, the first show of the tour, Brisbane. Sick. Donna Lewis, I Love You Always Forever. The Beatles, right? Trust in the Universe. When I heard In the Club by 50 Cent.